basically I'm working in acrylic and canvas. So I guess right now I'm going in two different directions. When I started in watercolor, it was my interest to just paint what I saw, and I realized I was painting what I felt. Once I started that, and I haven't really looked back to landscape, but the row houses really are an integral part of my abstracts. If you look closely at any of my large abstract work, it has little row houses in it. It has people in it. So I thought this step back into row houses would be fine because it's kind of fun. It gave me a break. So I did some drawing here. This is the way I work. I looked at a lot of row houses in 16 years since I've been here. And so I just construct a scene that will be interesting. So I did a drawing here. I'm just going to fill in the blanks, kind of. And now that I'm painting in watercolor on two. I have my colors divided into warm and cool.
For me, going to college, watercolor, of course, when you go to the Maryland Institute or any art college, you have to explore all of these different mediums. So acrylics, watercolors, ceramic, jewelry making. For me, I was an interior design major, but still had to be exposed to all of these different genres and mediums. This was the most difficult for me. It was the most challenging. I felt it was the least forgiving of all the mediums for me. I don't know about other artists, because obviously we have someone here who has mastered watercolor and who finds it very easy, the process very easy. So I especially admire someone who is able to master this medium.
Well, I didn't know it was hard. I had a teacher. I met the teacher who was teaching drawing class. One of the basic classes that I took was a watercolor instructor, and I just really appreciated how he, Skip Lawrence. Yeah. I really appreciated how he sort of mentored me in discovering my creativity. And so he taught watercolor classes, so I wanted to keep learning from him. So I started taking his classes. I didn't go back to school after that. I was really only interested in painting, and he was going to help me with that. So that was the end for me. I did all of my studying after that was self-teaching, studying, reading books, looking at museums.
So typically there is a drawing, a skeleton before you apply the paint.
I wouldn't have a drawing on something like that. Maybe towards the end I would manipulate it in the computer to see the best way to go. But it looks like maybe I do drawings on my row houses. You have to share it with somebody else before you really think about your process. After a few years. I mean, I've been painting watercolors for 40 years, I guess, 35, 40 years. And I really hated to leave it behind. You really need to, I painted big. The paper is limited in size. You can buy a roll that's 10 feet by 43 inches, 10 yards probably by 43 inches, and then cut off what you want. But then you got to use plexiglass, you got a big frame. I did a lot of big watercolors off those rolls, but I really needed to go to canvas so that it was more practical. I use a mix of drawing materials, pastels, sumi ink, powdered pigments.
I think the amazing thing about this piece, which is highlighted so beautifully with the correct lighting, is Tell me the other two components that you
Oh,
used in
yes.
there.
I brought some examples. These two jars right here are some of the materials that I will add to my paintings. These are glass beads, which I put into that painting, and if you get a good light on it, you can see the sparkle. I won't put it in my watercolor because I'm not going to put a medium over it to protect it.
So these on the paper as well as the canvas, or
I never really stopped working on. I started doing acrylics on.
Did you try the acrylics watering them down like watercolor?
Yeah, I did.
They didn't like that way?
I would, this will be next.
here?
Worked on this series, which was in 2010, say. I walk on raw canvas. I don't gesso them first. And I started using pigments because I was trying to find a way to make acrylics my own. And I kind of liked what the pigments were doing. I could smear them into the water or medium, whatever I put on the canvas first. And I don't know, it was just a watercoloring technique. And then after I get one layer down, that sort of gives me some place to go.